We've got our next demonic beast out. This is Eikthyrnir. He is a deer. And this seems to be the entryway into goddess relics. So we're going to talk about floor 1. First phase is pretty simple. There's nothing that we really need to worry about. We're going to drop a taunt, and we're going to drop these fodder attacks we don't really need. The boss does have a single target spike card and an AoE pierce attack. And then he has a bunch of passives that a lot of the bosses throughout the game kind of have, like ignoring all debuffs and no attribute leverage. So a lot of that we don't really need to keep in mind, just because, yeah, he's going to take a lot less damage, a lot of our debuffs aren't going to work, but this comp's not going to be debuffing. So turn 2, looks like I can go for T1 ult, so we are going to push for that. Make sure you do punch before you slash, as the slash does scale off the amount of remaining HP we have, and we can lifesteal off that initial attack. And since we are running Trader Meliodas, we do want to make sure that we can get as many stacks as possible, including capping out on the gray passives. We want to use at least 2 single target attacks a turn, so we do want to keep that in mind. Now, we do have some Arthur single targets, so we'll drop those just to make sure we get the stacks up. And then the T1 ult should kill here. It looks like he is ulting next turn as well, but he hopefully won't be able to get that off. Alright, yep, so that is going to kill him. Not even going to need the second hit of that. Now, the second phase is where we'll get our first passive. I believe this passive is the same. This passive is a rank up, and we aren't using Gother, so if we were to rank somebody up, we aren't going to be, or we're going to be, he's going to have an increase in basic stats by about 100%. So this phase has cycling. Now, cycling means that if we attack with a red, green, or blue unit, then we need to attack in a attribute advantage order after the initial attack. Now, you're not going to see this initially here because I attacked with Melee. Now, Melee is dark attribute, so he's not going to start the cycle. He is going to ultimate seal us for the rest of this phase. Not too worried about that. If you can, use all of your Melee cards before the cycle starts. Now, I'm out of Melee cards, so I'm going to attack with Matrona, and she's a red unit. So, an attribute advantage, we need to go green, then we need to go blue. So we'll see that kick in here. Matrona's attack goes down. You'll see he gets a buff that tells you who you need to attack with next. It's also a little icon in between his antlers. So we're going to have to go Matrona, Arthur, and then T1. So all of the teams that you guys see, they're most likely going to have a red, a blue, a green unit, and then also Trader Meliodas, because again, he ignores the cycling. But you can't use his attacks once the cycle starts. Otherwise, you get attack sealed. If you attack out of order, you'll get attack sealed. So we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that we can always attack in this specific order once we start the cycle. Now, the only way around this is if you're going to go for T1's ult, because he does have the... Well, go for T1's ult while you have debuff immunity. Because this way you can probably end the phase without having to worry about none of your attacks working, though you'll probably start the next phase still sealed if you're going out of order, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we are patiencing now, so Matrona's ult's actually going to be ready. I actually didn't pull in a Matrona attack, but because of that patience, we can drop her attack, followed by Arthur, followed by T1. I am going to push for his ult, just for that reason I said earlier. I think we are debuff immune next turn, so we should be able to drop his ult. And he's still just barely hanging on. So we aren't getting any Matrona taunts either, but he is still attacking Matrona, so that is nice. He's not doing a lot of damage at all. The rest of the team is fully topped up almost. So we need to go for red. I can't do red, but like I said, I think we can actually... Oh, we're not debuff immune, but we can just ult, and this should just... This will finish him off. I didn't want to use any of the attacks here because I have Melee's ult, and then I can merge and start building ults again. So the third phase is when you'll get your second passive. This is when will really dictate if you need to reset. This is a pretty bad passive. This is actually the worst passive to get. He takes less damage, 30%. So this is not a run that I would take to floor 3, because that's probably going to be not a good time. We're going to drop both of our ults here. We're going to taunt up with Matrona again. Try to keep that up. She is taking very little damage. The rest of the team's not taking that much either, but, you know. We still want to taunt. We don't want anything weird to happen. I think we are fully stacked on our melee passives here as well. Yep, we've got a lot of stats going on right now. Got a lot of stacks. So we can actually push for melee ult, it looks like. Phase 4, the cycling is going to be active again. So we want to keep that in mind. If we do push, we want to try to save all color attacks. I don't have a Matrona attack, but I do have a lot of melee cards. So we could probably dump the melee cards, transition, and then hopefully we'll get some good card draw. We'll at least get a Matrona attack. And I think that'll be enough for at least for one turn. Yep, phase 4, he does have an HP buff, it looks like. So we can we got a merge here. So we'll do Melee's attacks. This isn't going to start the cycle like I mentioned earlier. We didn't get a T1 attack, so hopefully, you know, the next phase or the next turn we'll get a T1 attack, and then we can comfortably do the cycling. Oh, he's actually just going to kill here, isn't he? Wow, okay. Yeah, Deer is very squishy. Phase 4, we don't have to worry about hoarding power strikes or any kind of ridiculous passives that the bird had. So that is going to wrap up floor 1. We're going to probably try to get floor 2 and floor 3 out later this week. If you guys liked it, drop a thumbie, maybe a sub if you're into that. See you in the next one.